Fellas, welcome back to Grit on the Rocks. And when I say fellas, I mean men and women, For all you listeners out there, those of you who show up weekly, sometimes more than once a week, thank you. But welcome back to Grit on the Rocks, where we talk about, life and success. Sometimes, talk about the grind or just situations, sometimes with humor, sometimes we're a little more serious, right? We have the real unfiltered truth about being a man. So today's episode, it's going to be a bit different, right? It's not about hustle or grinding or leveling up. Well, actually it is, but from a whole different angle. This is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production.
This podcast is a Buenos Dias media production.
This is the Grit on the Rocks podcast, where raw conversations meet smooth sips. Pull up a chair, pour your favorite drink, puff on your favorite cigar, and join us as we dive into the convos that matter. No scripts, no barriers, just unfiltered truth served straight up. Cheers to the real ones out there. Salud.
Salud. All right. Feels so good to be back. So we took a couple of days. Just a lot of stuff going on, right? For those of you who know, I am back in school. So I did have a shitload of work. It was just a lot to do. And I just had no time for anything else. And then I also got sick, right? And that sucked. But then, right, this past week, I had my birthday. And, you're used to when you're a kid, you celebrate birthdays and then you go into your teens and then you go into your 20s. And, it's all about celebration and what are you going to do for your birthday and stuff like that. And I mean, that's all cool. But, as you get older, I feel like I developed this, I want to say in my 30s, where it became more about gratitude. If it's a celebration, it's celebration, no, not party-wise. It's just celebrating the fact that I'm grateful that I'm alive. I've had people close to me pass away young, so you start to look at things a little bit differently. I'm grateful to be alive. I'm grateful for my family. I'm grateful for God's blessings, my children, my wife, our achievements, just, things that sometimes we take for granted. So, I just turned 46, and if there's one thing that I've learned is that gratitude is one of the strongest weapons a man can have. And even though I know men and women listen to this podcast, I want to take a little time to talk more to men and women who are listening. Share this with your man. Because men sometimes are, if you want to talk about toxic masculinity, this would be one of those traits that I believe to be toxic, is the fact that men shouldn't be showing emotion. It's all about, toughing it up and, just rough it up and just keep it moving. But I think, yes, when it comes to gratitude, I think it's one of the strongest weapons a man can have, right? We talk about strength and power and money and success. But gratitude, that's the secret sauce that makes it all worth it. So today, I just wanted to take a moment to talk about why being grateful isn't about getting soft. It's about getting sharper, more focused, and more intentional with life. Because when you truly embrace gratitude, you stop wasting time on nonsense and you just start appreciating and building what really matters. So don't go away. This is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production. Let's jump into this.
The views and opinions expressed by the host, guest, and/or participants of this show do not necessarily reflect the opinions of Buenos Dias Media LLC, its associates, partners, and show sponsors. The content is intended for entertainment purposes and should not be construed as professional advice. Listener discretion is advised.
So, yes, gratitude. These are lessons that I've learned from 46 years of living. When you grow up in a certain environment, I remember back in the early 90s, you start seeing so many people around you go down these dark paths, and I don't know if it's just me or if men out there can relate to this, but I personally developed the mentality that eventually this is the path I might have to take. And then with that comes a mentality of, wow, this person and that person got killed or got locked up, and, I guess that's where I'm headed. So I remember when I turned 21, I had my son already, and I just felt this feeling of gratitude that I had made it to 21. And then I felt like that again when I made it to 25, and again at 30. And I know I wasn't making maybe the best life choices. I was trying to do the best with the little that I had. But I am grateful that I was able to escape from what I thought was inevitable. And I was able to somewhat mature, right? And see the errors of my ways and change my path completely. And granted, then life gave me other difficult situations that just made me do a 180 and just take a completely different path that has brought me to where I am today, which even though the process sucked and was extremely difficult, I am grateful for it. I just am. So, you start developing this mentality of gratitude. So when my birthday comes along, I usually I want to be with my family, obviously. I want to be around my kids. I want to be around my wife. I prefer being home, right? And if we're going to do something, I want to do it as a family. I just want to be with them. But I like to take, even if it's a small portion of the day, an hour, 2 hours, to just be by myself and just reflect on gratitude, reflect on the gifts God has given me, the blessings God has bestowed upon me and my family. So, you ever look back at your younger self and just shake your head, right? Like, damn, I really thought I had it all figured out at 25. But with age comes clarity. Maturity isn't just, making smarter choices. It's about recognizing what actually deserves your energy. Think about it, right? When you're young, you choose validation. You worry about impressing people who don't even matter, right? And you stress over things that won't even come across your mind in 10 years. But as you grow, you start realizing, right? You realize that people who matter the most are the ones you sometimes take for granted. And that is a mistake that I've seen many. And I've fallen victim to this mentality. And, it takes true self-awareness to just sit down, analyze yourself, and really think things through and be honest with yourself. And be able to say, I'm doing this. So, you realize that the people who matter the most sometimes are the people you take for granted. And these are changes that we need to make, right? We realize that little wins, as you get older, the little wins in life are actually the biggest ones. And one thing that was a game changer for me was realizing that what you already have is probably something someone else is praying for. So by entering that mind state, you begin to feel more grateful for what you have. And this is a lesson I constantly talk about, and I tell my wife, like, it's not about not wanting things. It's okay to want more in life, and it's okay to be, ambitious in life and want to do more and gain more and build more and work more, and just for your future self and your children, right? Or your future generations. It's totally okay to want that, but it's okay to want that without forgetting or appreciating what you already have or what you've already done. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying sit back and do nothing and, just be happy. No. Gratitude isn't about settling. It's about fueling. When you're grateful, you stop playing the victim. You stop chasing what doesn't serve you. And most importantly, you start making moves with clarity instead of desperation. Right? So you're not just sitting back and just, be happy. No. You want to fuel yourself, right? You feel gratitude for what you have, and you understand that you want more, and you just stop playing the victim. These are things that were game changers for me, and this is why I want to share this. And you probably heard this before, and maybe this is the time that it clicks for you. Hopefully it does. You stop playing the victim, and you stop chasing what doesn't serve you. This is something I see it so much amongst family members and friends and people that I know, and on social media especially. It's just this chase for things that serves no purpose. You chase for things based on vanity. You do wrong things for the wrong reasons. And it's not helpful for you in the long run, because eventually these things start to crumble. So we're going to do something called a regret test. But before we do that, we're going to take a moment to hear from one of our supporters. And I just want to remind all you that are listening, if you are listening to us on any podcast platform, your favorite one, I ask that you please follow the podcast, leave us a review, leave us stars or comments or whatever it allows you to do, and share with your friends and family. If you're watching us on YouTube or Rumble, subscribe to the channel, leave us a comment, right? Be a part of the show, join the conversation. And if you want to participate in the show, if you want to send us a message, be a part of one of our segments, be it Whiskey Bar Wisdom or Barstool Banter or Hero of the Day, or you just want to send us a message and say what's up, or send us a suggestion and you want us to read it on the show, go to greatontheRocks.com, scroll down to the bottom where it says contact us, and just send us your message and we'll be reading them. And if you're a business that wants to be a sponsor of the show or a sponsor of one of our segments, or you just want your company logo featured on our website, I also invite you to scroll down to the bottom at gridontherocks.com and send us your message. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. This is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production.
Looking to connect with like-minded men who share your drive for success and passion for the finer things in life? Welcome to the Apex Gentlemen's Guild, a private members club for men who value ambition, camaraderie, giving back, and personal growth. For a limited time while we're fully remote, you can join the guild for free. Gain access to tons of motivational content, exclusive events, insightful discussions, and a network of high-performance individuals. Don't miss this chance to elevate your social circle. Request to join today at facebook.com/groups/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Or give us a like at facebook.com/Apex Gentlemen's Guild. The Apex Gentlemen's Guild. Excellence forged in unity.
All right. So let's do a quick mental exercise, right? Need everybody's attention now. Imagine you're 80 years old. You're sitting on a porch. You're sipping on a glass of whiskey. Maybe you're enjoying a cigar, right? If that's your style. And you're looking back at your life. What do you regret? I promise you this. No man at 80 is sitting there wishing he worked more overtime or bought a more expensive car. I can guarantee you that much. Right? What he wishes, though, right? What he might be wishing is that he spent more time with family. That he didn't let his pride ruin relationships. He's probably wishing that he took more risk. And he's probably wishing that he wasn't afraid to say, I love you to people who mattered. Every man thinks he has time until he doesn't. And the only way to dodge regret is to start practicing gratitude now while you can still do something about it. You know, one thing I learned through loss in life is showing people that you care now. Not letting little grudges or, little spats turn into these long-lasting feuds. Because no matter if in the future you come and, you reunite and, everything is great now, you will always regret all the lost time. That's just a fact. Because you can't get time back, right? You just can't, which is why it's important to not let pride ruin relationships. Why it's important to take more risk. If you have a business idea, if you, want to, you hear a podcast like this and, you hear about ideas about investing or, putting away for your retirement and you're always afraid of risk. Or you want to start a business and you're always afraid of risking your hard-earned money. You might regret this in the future. You might regret, I should have taken more risk. And one thing that I personally try not to live with is the what ifs. I'd rather try something and fail than to go through my life and then look back and say, damn, what if I would have done this? I try not to do that. And I talk to my wife about this and I teach my son about it also. And you should never be afraid to say, I love you to the people who mattered, right? So let's do a little gratitude challenge for men. Let's put this into action. I don't do fluff. So I'm challenging you that are listening to me right now. For the next 7 days, I want you to do 3 simple things every morning. Ready? Number 1, write down one thing you're grateful for. And I don't mean just writing, I'm grateful for life or family. I want you to be specific. Something that happened yesterday, something small but powerful, right? Something that mattered. I don't know, even if it's short, even if it's small, but powerful. Be specific for 7 days. Number 2, text or call one person and tell them you appreciate them. Your dad, friend, your kid, your mentor. It doesn't have to be emotional, just needs to be real. Hit up one of your close friends that maybe you're not that close anymore because of life, because sometimes you lose touch with your friends, and it's not that you're upset, it's just you're busy or they're busy. Life, they have kids now, things change. Just hit one of them up. Hey, hope you're doing well. Just thinking about you, just checking up on you. Hope all is well, blah, blah, blah. Something simple. Just make it real. Number 3, do one thing today that your future self will thank you for. Right? Go to the gym, work out, start that side hustle, start that business, start maybe learning about something that you're interested in that might lead to a business or a side hustle. Apologize to someone that you feel you might have hurt. Or just apologize if you, lost contact with this person. Maybe there was a disagreement and you think you're in the right, they think they're in the right. Just apologize. Squash it. Get through it. And the next thing is invest in yourself. Invest in your future. And when I say invest, it could be investing time in learning that new skill. It could be investing money into a course to teach you a new skill. Invest in that business venture. Invest in that, that idea that you have for a better future. But invest in yourself. So do this for 7 days and tell me you don't feel the shift. Because when a man moves from entitlement to gratitude, everything changes. His energy, his focus, his results. I can guarantee you that. If you follow this is a challenge. Then I want you to go either in the podcast or on the YouTube or Rumble, leave us a comment, or you can just go to Grit on the Rocks on Instagram or Facebook and send us a DM or message or a comment. But reach out. Let me know. I want to hear if this worked for you, if you really follow it to the T for 7 days. So let's take a quick moment to do our whiskey bar wisdom, right? Where we take your messages and emails from you guys and we break it down. Whiskey bar wisdom.
Whiskey bar wisdom. Ooh.
All right. There's nothing magical about it. Here, drink this. Tell me what's on your mind. Come on.
Whiskey bar wisdom. You provide the stories. We provide the opinions. Unprofessional advice and the laughter. Grit on the Rocks podcast.
All right, this is Whiskey Bar Wisdom. And this message comes from Tony in Chicago. It says, yo, love the show. I just hit 50 and I feel like I'm only now starting to truly appreciate life. But here's my issue. I wasted years being bitter about stuff I couldn't control. I was mad at my dad for not being there, mad at my job for not paying me enough, mad at my ex for leaving. I let that anger drive me for years, but now I'm realizing it also weighed me down. What's your advice for letting go of old grudges and really living in gratitude? Tony. All right. Tony, first off, brother, respect, right, for recognizing, a lot of men never do. Never take the time to be self-aware. They never take the time to truly look at things for what they are. So here's the truth. Anger and resentment will eat at you alive if you let them. The only way to move forward is to accept that nobody owes you anything. Let me repeat that again for all of you out there. Nobody owes you anything. Your dad, he's human. He made his choices. Your job, it was never supposed to save you. Your ex, she left. that means she wasn't meant for you or where you're headed. So gratitude is the cure to resentment. It doesn't mean you excuse people's behavior. It means you take your power back. Because the moment you stop blaming and start owning, you win. Keep moving forward, Tony. Second half of your life is waiting. I mean, you can't... Listen, one thing I can say personally that I learned from my dad was never in my life either. And as I grew older, I mean, I knew who he was, and we tried to have some interactions, and his life choices just, kept impeding that from happening. And still to this day, he does not own his actions and decisions, and that's fine. But one thing I learned is what not to be with my children. And one thing I also learned is that I can't let that weigh me down. I mean, he made his choices, and if he's okay with that, I need to be okay with that. Now I got to focus on my choices and being okay with what I choose to be and what my children will see me, right? How they'll see me, what kind of relationship I have with them. That's all on me. So I hope this helps you, Tony, and all the listeners out there. All right, so let's wrap up for today. If this episode hits home, do me a favor, subscribe to the podcast, share it with someone who needs it, and make sure you follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook at Grit on the Rocks. And if you got a story, a question, or a whiskey bar wisdom submission, head over to gritontheRocks.com. Scroll down to the bottom to the Contact Us section and drop us a message. Maybe you'll be featured in the next episode. And sponsors, if you want your brand featured on this show, in our segments, or on our website, please do so and hit us up. I appreciate y'all. Stay strong, stay grateful, and as always, keep your grit on the rocks. Remember to keep your spirits high, your cigars lit, your glasses full, and your conversations meaningful. This is Grit on the Rocks podcast, a Buenos Dias media production. Till next time, cheers.
Grit on the rocks tonight, men with hearts like iron bars, tackling life's endless fight, scars becoming stars, diving deep into the void, working dreams like candy, family bonds sometimes destroyed, like fate always handy. Real men, real issues here, facing fears like storms at sea. Truth is all we hold dear, weakness set free. Help the battle we all share, fitness built with grit and sweat. Life ain't always fair, don't you dare forget. Challenges rise like mountains tall, through the haze we crawl alone. Echoes in the empty hall, our struggles carved in stone.